Good afternoon, good morning, or good night, depending on where you are across the world or across the Geekverse, listening or watching. Welcome to the Spacebook, here for another live stream on a Saturday early evening for us here in the UK. I don't know how it is where you are or where they are. I've got some friends with me again this time. Yes, we had a live stream last week and it went quite well. It was just an impromptu thing, quite a sad occasion, really, on the passing of Sir Sean Connery. But you lot seem to enjoy it. So did I, generally speaking. We're going to talk more Bond and The Mandalorian and whatever else comes up with these guys. Yes, because it wouldn't be a party without the Mega Geek, would it? He's here. It's in David Diaz, friend of the channel, the Mega Geek.
How are you?
You may not be in tune with present Star Trek, but you've got that.
I've got it down.
That's a damn sight better than I have. Yes. How are you this week? Good.
I'm okay. Just a bit tired. Just working. Just trying to make a buck or a pound. So apart from that, I'm okay.
Working. There ought to be a law against that, isn't there?
Yeah. Well,
we pass one any moment now. First chance they get. Yes, yeah. We've got another person about to beam in as well. Quite literally, he's just finished recording a Star Trek podcast. Let's see what's out there over on his channel, on his podcast feed, or whatever else, wherever it is. It's everywhere. Yes. So welcome back, Keith Isles.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey. That's a cool intro there, isn't it? Hey. Breezes in like the Fonz, doesn't he, Ian? Yes. We've got a private chat, as always, a live chat, and a private chat full of comments. We've got a few people in already. Yes, we've got in the UK. The time is lockdown. It is indeed. And Lord Thoth says, morning and afternoon, everyone. Whether you're here on the stream or not, just everybody generally in the world, morning and afternoon. Yeah, you've got to hedge your bets with these things, haven't you, on YouTube? And indeed. The talents of Wayne Chiang is here right away, right from the jump. Thank you. Good to have you all here. And Keith is here to give a view that differs from the mainstream. You are the anti-mainstream there, Keith. How about
there you go. Well, there you go. I've been called many things in my life, but anti-mainstream was never one of them. So that's cool.
There you go. Yes, it's been a hell of a week it's been a hell of a week everywhere, isn't it? Let alone in the geek world. We're going to concentrate on the geek world. You'll be pleased to know, because there's quite a lot going on. Yes, we covered this last week, Keith. I don't know if you've seen, but we spoke at length about the late Sir Sean Connery.
Yes.
What were your feelings about this? You were shocked, even though he was 90 years of age? It was a shock, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, I was actually heartbroken. I had a lot of love for that man. I've been a lifelong.
Wrong.
Well, no, not in that way, but a lifelong Bond fan. But also his whole body of work. The Untouchables, what a great performance. Highlander, which we've talked about. I mean, I was very sad. And yes, okay, 90 is not a bad innings, but it's still sad to lose an icon that you grew up with. So yeah, very sad.
It is. And all week I've been reminding myself about all his fantastic roles, really, even sometimes in films that weren't that great. But the Bond stuff, obviously, it stands tall, doesn't it? This huge impact that he made, huge cultural impact that's still being felt today. And we had that lovely quote, didn't we, last week from Barbara Broccoli, thanking him in no uncertain terms for the entire real success, really, of the character in those early days. It was nice to read, wasn't it, Ian?
It was nice to read. It's a shame she didn't say it to his face when he was alive, though. That's the thing. That's what I said last week. So
yeah. It's yes, we have. Lord Pop says we will never see good James Bond movies ever again. So time to revisit the classics.
That's leading to something, isn't it?
Funny, you should say that, Lord Thought. Shame on you, because a lot of people are convinced by this. Could Miss Lynch pull off that photo? Yes, because I suppose we'll get right into it, really. This is the story that's broken, isn't it, this week? If I can get it up on screen. Bear with me one moment. Yes, this story, which I'm not really sure how much stall to put in it, but yes, this is Lashana Lynch, isn't it? Who is in No Time to Die, the next James Bond film, Bond 25, as some would call it. And she, considering that we haven't actually seen her in this film yet, she doesn't have to do a lot of rabbiting about it, doesn't she? We've got this latest article at Movie Web, where the big 007 reveal brought racist harassment, says No Time to Die star Lashana Lynch. It's been officially confirmed now that Captain Marvel star Lashana Lynch will be carrying the 007 title in No Time to Die. And she talks at length here, really, about the harassment that she says that she received when just when the speculation was rife, guys, about the part that she'd be playing in this upcoming Bond film, because we knew she'd been casting it fairly early, didn't we? And, it's... the story doesn't seem to have gone away. I am one black woman. If it were another black woman cast in the role, it would have been the same conversation. She would have got the same attacks, the same abuse. I just have to remind myself that the conversation is happening, that I'm part of something that will be very, very revolutionary. I mean, firstly,
no, it's not going to be revolutionary, because people, if they do make a film with her as 007 without a male 007, it's not going to work. Us three, we all know that. So
no.
What else can we say?
Miss Lynch is no spring chicken. I'm surprised that she doesn't know that too. But yes, the thing is, I mean, as everybody else, I'd imagine you two feel the same way, and everybody in the chat does. If Miss Lynch has received racist attacks, criticism, if it's made her feel vulnerable and attacked on the grounds of her ethnicity, that is 100% wrong. And I feel great sympathy for her. Of course I do. That it's completely reprehensible. But I do wonder about these articles that again are in the press this week. This has to be the third round of this conversation that's played out in the press over a film, Ian, that we haven't bloody seen yet.
You know what, right? Things like this, I don't bother reading anymore. I on Facebook, I saw a couple of days ago, there was a thing on this very subject, and I didn't want to click on it because it's clickbait, isn't it? When you read it, it's just, they're not telling you anything that's solid. I mean, it's a conversation that she had with a magazine, isn't it? And she says she's carrying the but really, who cares if she carries the 007 title? If they announce they're going to make a James Bond film with her as the lead, as the 007 thing, then that's something to be pissed off about, because exactly.
That would be revolutionary, whoever it was, because to have a James Bond film without James Bond as the lead, it's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, exactly.
Whoever it was. But that's not actually what's happening. So I don't really, with the best will in the world, Miss Lynch, I'd imagine this part is going to be huge to you, but it's not really that huge to me. How do you feel about it, Keith? Another supporting character in another Bond film, surely.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I have no time for any racism that she's receiving. I think we're all agreed on that. So, but I'm like Ian, I take a lot of these stories with a pinch of salt, because I don't like to read them sometimes, because they almost reek of propaganda. But the way I look at it, if in the time, because we don't know the story yet, right? But obviously Daniel Craig is James Bond in this film, so it's a James Bond thing. If in the meantime, whilst he is retired or left Her Majesty's Secret Service, okay, and they've appointed a 00 agent with 007 moniker, and it's a black woman, so what? I haven't got a problem with that. I don't think that is taking away from the fact that we've still got a James Bond film. So I don't see an issue. We've had it before with Jinx. Jinx was essentially, they were even going to do Die Another Day was such a bad film and it didn't do well, but they were going to do a spin-off movie with Halle Berry as Jinx. They were going to do a Jinx movie. We've had it before. We've had Michelle Yeoh opposite him in Tomorrow Never Dies. So this is not anything new, so I don't really understand why there's a big deal being made about it.
I think 5 or 6 years ago, Ian, I don't think we'd be even having the conversation.
Actually, it is something new. I think you're wrong there, Keith. What they're saying is that she is literally taking over the mantle of the 007. Now Jinx and the other character that you mentioned just now is not stepping in place of James Bond and having his 00. right? This is completely different. And I understand why people are angry because of what's happening today. It's not only happening with this franchise, it's happening with all the franchises from Star Trek to Star Wars to everything. And I understand why people are angry. But you know what? Me personally, I don't care. I really don't care. They want to do that to it. And, you know, that's fine with me because
usually 5 years ago, I don't think people would be overreacting to this the way they are. I think it's because, as you've just said, Ian, because it's come as the latest in a succession of things which appear to be all connected. You know, they shot this film nearly a year and a half ago, for heaven's sake. Lashana Lynch has been speaking to Harper's Bazaar again this week. This is where all of this comes from. And other sites have come along and they've cherry picked the bits that they want to report on.
They probably have.
But No Time to Die is a sequel to Spectre, of course. Spectre came out nearly 5 years ago. And in that film, just as you said, Keith, James Bond left the Secret Service at the end of that film. What do you think they were going to do? Of course they're going to replace him in that place in the department. The headlines that I've seen everywhere, as you've said, Ian, there's a lot of clickbait that was put out that Lashana Lynch replaces Daniel Craig.
She's not replacing Daniel Craig. She's not playing James Bond.
Lashana Lynch's character, I think his name's Romy, is succeeding James Bond as the next 007 in a fictional context, which is perfectly fine. It doesn't mean, I'm sorry, Lord Thoth, I disagree with you. I don't think it's any indicator at all that we're not going to get a decent James Bond film anymore.
We're not going to get another Bond either. Of course we are. Yeah,
I don't think it's any indicator whatsoever that this film will be woke. I mean, I don't think this film will be woke at all. I hope not.
I was going to say that's the question here. Does this come across as forced diversity?
And yes, it does.
I don't.
It does. Of course it does. Of course it does. Of course it does. It comes across as forced diversity. They're pushing it. I mean, as I said, if it didn't come across as forced female agenda, I mean, I'm not going to use the word woke because word woke is completely off the table now. If it wasn't, then people wouldn't be up in arms about it. Do you know what I mean? I mean, when Halle Berry played Jinx and there was that rumor about her having her own show, nobody was complaining then. They all wanted it. Because Halle Berry's gorgeous. I want Halle Berry, man.
But it was a great character. I'd watch that film now. I'd watch a Jinx film now.
Yeah.
But with this, I mean, when I say I don't think it's going to be woke at all, I think that obviously this is a black woman succeeding a black man in a role in MI6, MI5, MI6, and you think, well, okay, they could have gone for another man or whatever else. But at the end of the day, this is a shorthand for trying to. This is a movie; it's a visual thing, and it's a shorthand. And the idea is to sort of to show that time has moved on and the department has expanded, and that anybody can fill these roles now. And I suppose the quickest, easiest way of doing that, even just visually, it is to put a black woman succeeding a white man. I mean, it just comes with all that baggage of current day politics. At the end of the day, what matters to me is what's on the page. And for everything that I can see, that has been scripted by all the people who have scripted the last 3 or 4 Bond movies. It's been directed by Cary Fukunaga, who, as far as I can see, casts all of his projects really, really well. Yeah, knows how to assemble a project. There's just nothing to see here. People are up in arms about Phoebe Waller-Bridge being employed on the writing
one of the writers, yeah.
And that's the point. That's the point that one of the writers, there are 6 writers on this thing, and all she's done from what I hear, I think it's from what she said, she's gone in and just pretty much just punched up some dialogue. To bring it to life a little more. She's not influenced the plot. She's certainly not written the entire movie. And the idea that she's given a big feminist rewrite over the whole thing, I don't think Phoebe Waller-Bridge would be interested in that anyway. Anybody who's seen any of her output or read an interview with her will know that she's not some sort of activist type. You know, she sincerely isn't. Talons of Wayne Chiang, they're going for the Ghostbusters 2016. This is it. I don't think they are. Having said that, we don't know how the film will be marketed. Personally, I think if it was anybody but Eon, they probably would go with some really sort of ridiculous taglines and posters. That's a really nice poster.
It's a really nice,
really nice t-shirt. Sorry. They probably would do that. But Eon and Barbara Broccoli and Michael Wilson, they are a class act. If they say that they're not going to do something, they don't do it.
They did come out and say that, didn't they? They did.
Yeah.
They said that they weren't going to do that to James Bond. And I know it's James Bond very close to Barbara Broccoli, isn't she? She really cares about the thing. So I don't think. Do you know what? I don't really care. And the actress that's going to be playing taking over the 007 thing, it's fine. It's fine as long as it doesn't, get rid of James Bond completely. As long as we get another James Bond film. With Henry Cavill.
No, I don't feel that at all.
You're gone. Sorry.
You've already shot the gun barrel logo for the next film. You've already done.
Yes, of course. Sorry, a private joke there between me.
Yeah.
We've got somebody in the chat here. NM is saying she was awesome, stunning, and brave in Captain Marvel. Can't remember what she did it though. That's what they keep saying about it. Yeah. They mentioned that in Harper's Bazaar about she made this big impact in that movie. She didn't at all. She was like an automaton. I really thought that it was a largely terrible performance in a pretty awful film.
I think
so. I don't really know what to expect, Ian, of her performance in this.
But seriously, though, I think the fandom and anyone that's fans of any kind of genre or any kind of TV show, we should all step back now because let's face it, these things don't belong to us. They really don't. We love James Bond, we love Star Trek, we love Star Wars, we love Doctor Who. They really don't belong to us. And if the people that are in charge of those things want to do what they want to do, if you don't like it, walk away. That's all I'm doing now.
Yeah.
If it doesn't appeal to me or I think they're going in the wrong direction, I just walk away and just find something else to watch. I think that's what you all do.
Let's be honest. There's a lot out there.
I
mean, the way this is going, it might be hard to see it anyway.
Yeah.
I'm talking about this movie now because I love Bond because it's been in the press. But at the end of the day, yes, this film is a long, long way off. Here we've got one of the few pictures from the film itself, and we see Bond and Naomi, or whatever her name is going to be, 007 working together. And again, all looks fine. Everything is as you'd expect it to look. And I tell you what, guys, I don't think this character will make it through to the end of the film. I really don't. And I don't know what to expect from Lashana Lynch herself. Like I said, the only performance I've ever seen her give was in a pretty terrible movie. So I'm perfectly prepared. I'm perfectly prepared to be wowed by this woman. I mean, maybe she'll give the same wooden performance, and maybe that's the point of this character, that she's so good and so sort of clinical as an agent, whereas Bond, of course, Bond does go against the grain of the department, doesn't he? And he does employ flair and creative thinking and his personality. So maybe her role doesn't have her personality or has that all in check.
It's no secret that I don't like Daniel Craig as James Bond, and the first one, Casino Royale, I really liked, and I thought it was going to go in that tone, but it didn't. Kind of went a bit weird and a bit Bourne Identity-ish. And the more I saw Daniel Craig, the more I didn't like him as Bond because he had no traits of the Bond that I know.
He keeps saying this, and yet we're still mates. How about that?
Yeah, but
how do you feel about Daniel Craig, Keith? Because I don't think we've ever spoken about it.
Yeah. No, I mean, I like him. I have no problem with him as Bond. I thought Casino Royale was, quite frankly, one of the best films we've ever had in the franchise. Wow. Yes. I guess what I've got not a problem with, but what I've been a bit let down by is when they started the franchise with him, they set it up to have a real arc and something that we haven't had in a Bond film before, essentially. And what I found disappointing was we had Casino Royale, then we had Quantum of Solace was almost like a sort of epilogue to Casino Royale, really. And I didn't like the way it was shot and edited. Yeah. But then with Skyfall, suddenly the conceit of Skyfall was here was an agent who was sort of aging and past it. And I didn't get that because the whole point, which was set up was he was new. It was the beginning of his career. So, I mean, there is a fan theory that he had all of those other adventures between the end of Quantum of Solace and the beginning of Skyfall, but whatever.
That's what I've taken it. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the other thing that kind of wound me up a little bit with Spectre, which I actually enjoyed a lot more than most people. In fact, I enjoyed it more than Skyfall, if I'm honest. But the thing that wound me up a little bit was the fact that they tried to tie it all in so that everything that had happened to Craig was all part of Blofeld's plan. And you think, oh, come on, no, it wasn't. What you know, and the fact that it was kind of almost like the Dr. Evil, long lost, you know, adopted brother kind of thing, and that bothered me. But
it seemed unimaginative, didn't it? It seemed unimaginative when you've got an actor like Christopher Waltz who can play pretty much anybody in anything. I mean, you know, it'd have been different if we hadn't have seen it 101 times. And as you say, if it hadn't have been spoofed all that times, once you spoof something like that, so on the money like that, it's very difficult to take it seriously when somebody does offer it completely straight down the line like that. We've got a few messages in the chat I want to catch up on here. A few people pointing a few things out. Where are we? Yes, Derek McManus, Halle Berry is quite acceptable. That's putting it mildly.
Yeah.
No, 007.
Wayne Chang said, lines in the trailer like Stay in Your Lane is slightly worrying, though. And yes, this is the thing, you see, because when they put those trailers together, I'm not sure, because sometimes, Ian, directors are very hands-on with trailers, aren't they? But sometimes they get taken out of their hands, don't they?
Yeah.
And okay, that line has a certain aroma, but in context of the film, it's perfectly fine, and it's nothing any different to lots and lots of lines in previous Bond movies. But the fact that was in the trailer sort of cleared the day, and they made sure that you heard that. It's like the upgrade line in that episode of Doctor Who that we don't talk about. They want you to hear this line. So as Wayne Chiang says, you know, that does sting in the ears.
Well, I you know, when a director comes on board of a James Bond film, what I've heard, I don't know if it's true, but what I've heard is that they're given their way to direct the film the way they want to direct it, and also they sit in the edit as well. But beyond that, it's all the Broccoli's and Wilson's show. Beyond that, so Broccoli and you know the people in charge, they can decide to cut bits if they want out the film or make the trailer the way they want to make it and stuff like that. So really, the director, he really doesn't have full control over the final product.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, a film, a trailer, Keith. I mean, I don't know. You know, you're the home media guy. This is how I feel about it. A trailer is not, or it should never be. I think the worst trailers actually are. But a trailer should not be a condensed version of the film, and we should never. A trailer is a piece of marketing. It's like a poster. It's there to manipulate you to part with your wonga, with your wedge, even if it's not literally a wedge anymore. You just swipe your card or enter your number. The principle's the same. The idea is it'll make you pull the trigger, and that's why. And every little moment of in a trailer is there to do that, isn't it, Ian? It's not there to represent the film necessarily.
But Keith and myself, we've decided with big movies that we really want to go and see, we try to avoid the trailer, don't we, Keith?
Yeah, no, definitely. I must admit, trailers tend to show too much nowadays. So I try. The first trailer's usually fine, but then the next trailer that comes out shows too much. But I mean, just to expand on what Ian was saying a little bit, I mean, the Bond franchise. It definitely is a producer-led franchise. It's almost like television in that respect. It's just big budget, big scale television. And what happens is the director can bring in certain key creatives like composer, production designer, editor, DOP, etc. But you know, the rest of it is pretty much controlled.
The people who would tailor. That's why they tend to when Sam Mendes took it over, for example, he didn't employ David Arnold anymore, did he?
No, he brought Thomas Newman. I see what you mean. They have a previous relationship, and the director is allowed to do that. But then beyond that, outside of those sort of obviously very key roles, it is a team that do the second unit and the stunts and the sort of main crew, and obviously the writing staff as well tend to be the people that the Broccoli's usually go to.
Just want to answer this because, as M points out, Spacebook, how can you say this film will not have a neo-feminist agenda after that showing that article from Harper's Bazaar? Yes, this is the article Lashana Lynch was talking about.
The thing is, we all know that Access Media can manipulate certain things. Really, what stars should do, especially this gorgeous woman here, she should have a tape recorder on her when she's being interviewed by these people, so she has proof of what she actually says. So if any article manipulates what she said, she can always get a tape recorder out and go, right, this is exactly what I said. Go on Twitter, go on, Facebook or whatever, and prove that's not what she said. But majority of actors, they don't do that. They just go in there and they do their thing, and then the press manipulates what they say. So we're not sure if she said what that article says.
Exactly. Yeah. These things, I mean, I've worked in publishing. I imagine that you two have experienced it from whatever side. And these appointments where they get interviewed for magazines like this, even if they're the showcase interviewee of a particular issue or a cover star like that, it's 2 or 3 hours, maybe 4 or 5 over an afternoon, and they talk at length, and it's up to the journalist how they want to interpret that, which bits they want to leave in or take out. And of course, you're there to sell this magazine, to sell a story. Which bits are you going to focus on? Lashana Lynch wouldn't have decided on the headline. She wouldn't have had any real say in it other than sort of thank you very much and take the pay or whatever. I'm not making excuses for whatever that she said, but what we have to bear in mind as well, like I said, this film was shot over a year ago. All this has built up in the meantime. And of course, Black Lives Matter has happened and all these other things. And she's been being pushed for answers on questions that when she took this role, and certainly when she played the part, probably weren't even in the forefront of her mind. At the end of the day, even though I wasn't impressed when I've seen her act before, she is a professional actress. She would have just had a script in hand on the day, hitting her marks, and then she'd take the money and go buy herself something nice. That's how it works, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, these things can get taken out of context. These things can get taken out of context. The interviews do last some time. Obviously, they're transcripted and edited and published, and of course, the individual magazines, they have their own audience, their own agendas,
and they have an editorial slant,
and can manipulate. It is a manipulative form of media, and I just think that these things should be taken.
Pinch of salt.
In my opinion, maybe I'm just naive, but I take it all with a pinch of salt.
I don't think you are.
If there's anybody to be angry at, or if there's anybody to be wary of, it's Harper's Bazaar at the very, very most. I mean, Lashana Lynch, maybe I don't know, because again, we don't know the tone of voice. When she was speaking, she's probably a perfectly reasonable woman. Most people are pretty reasonable and pretty nice when you get to know them. Banner said, don't forget James Bond is former Royal Navy. How could we forget that, guys? No,
I mean, they're actors. They're taking a job. I mean, that you have to put that into it as well. It's a job. It's a role.
I've only ever done for Fallen Angels when I was in Canada. We did a press thing when I was in a hotel, and it does really get to you, because you're talking to so many people and you forget what the answers are. So you're like they're all day, so you could end up saying, oh, who cares, you know what I mean, and they could put that out of context and stuff like that. So it is difficult for them, but they get paid a lot of money, and I didn't get paid a lot of money, but they get paid a lot of money, so they should just suck it up and be focused and say what's on their minds. You know what I mean? So there's no excuse.
I completely agree. Yeah, there's a little conversation going on in the chat here. So when is Dan going to be on Friday Night Tights? Should I ring Gary Nerd Rotten?
Well, both of us, we were meant to be on, weren't we? Me and you, Dan.
Lord thought Dan will be fine on Friday Night Tights. I'll speak to Gary. Of course, we know Gary. Gary's been on Type 40, the Doctor Who podcast with us.
Yes.
Okay. Go on, sorry, Ian. Yes, we have been.
We were meant to be on the Doctor Who thing, but I can't. Did we clash with something or something like that? That's why we
were streaming. So we were streaming with Keith at the time. Yeah, we were doing whatever. But yeah, I mean, what's Luthoff saying? Sounds like a plan. I'll have to drop his name. Well, this is it. Funny enough, Gary Beekler, who I've got a lot of time for Gary. I think he's a great guy and a brilliant podcaster, brilliant content maker. Gary, I understand the position that he's in. Gary,
he is.
Yeah, he's very much very cynical about this Bond movie, and I think he's kind of called it that he's done. And I do completely understand why. I respect that. And maybe I'm silly to hold on to all this blind hope, everybody. But no, I've just got faith in Eon. I think they really understand their audience. They value their intellectual property above any kind of politics, really. They may want to have fun with it, and they may want to exploit.
Also, they've tried to go beyond Bond, haven't they? They made other movies in the past, haven't they? And then they made that last one with
the Rhythm Section.
Rhythm Section with Blake Lively. They tried that, and that didn't work too well. But they are trying. It takes a lot of time to gather money up and get people to finance other projects and stuff, especially if they're known as the Bond people. They can't really shake that at all, because that's their main bread and butter, isn't it? So
I wish they'd make more than one film every 4 or 5 years.
Well, life intrudes, I guess, and I'm just assuming that Barbara's got a wonderful life.
I'll tell you what, they did make. I just had to look it up because I couldn't remember the full title, but they did make a fantastic film called "Film Stars Don't Die in Liverpool," which was a non-Bond film. The Eon people made it, and it it starred Jamie Bell and Annette Bening, and it's
Never
quite
heard of it.
It's really good. It's a drama. It was made in 2017.
Were they responsible for the wild geese and the sea wolves and stuff like that? Was Eon responsible for that?
I don't believe so. No, I think they were involved, I think, with Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, which of course was written by Ian Fleming also. But they have done other stuff outside of it. But what we also have to remember with the Bond franchise in general is the Bond franchise has always adapted to the times that the particular film is being released in. You look at Roger Moore's tenure, and it's completely 180 degrees different than the post Cold War stuff that Sean Connery was doing. So it changes a lot anyway, and I think what they're doing is they're like movies do. It's a medium that reflects the time in which they're made.
But it's just my opinion, right? For me, James Bond hasn't been James Bond since Casino Royale, as far as I'm concerned. The traits that James Bond have, I love. I don't care what anyone says. I love the gadgets, right? I love Q. I love the whole concept of him going to different countries and flying out there and but they've worked sets and stuff.
They've worked towards that, haven't they? They've worked towards that.
But it's
if you look at the progression through the Craig films, they went from being very stripped back of those things to, introducing Moneypenny, introducing Q, introducing gadgets, and Bond. By the time we get to Spectre. Well, he had gadgets in Spectre, didn't he? He had for starters, he had the Aston Martin with the ejector seat and the parachute.
That's not a new thing.
The problem we have in 2020, of course, regarding gadgets, is that we all carry gadgets constantly. They're not as much of a big deal as they were in the 60s.
No, but
technology changes. I think it's a lot harder to.
Yeah, but the thing is that there's always someone out there. There's always someone out there that's clever enough to actually create a new gadget. I'm telling you, James Bond. If we bring back James Bond and Craig's not doing it, we should try and capture what James Bond the movie was all about, not the book, the movie.
I'm not saying that you're wrong. I miss all that stuff too, and I think the time has come for it to make it
come back. Yeah,
and I think they know that, and I think they were up until this this enforced gap, which isn't just the beer bug thing. This is with Danny Boyle. being taken
Yes,
on
Of
and then
course,
leaving.
of
I
course.
think there was a sense of momentum there, and I think that we were getting to a place where they were going to reintroduce some of the more fun aspects that are probably going to have gone by the wayside this time.
Yeah.
I agree,
Well,
but I think Kerry Fukunaga seems to have a handle on at least the action, doesn't he, Keith?
Yeah. I mean, the thing with the gadgets, just to sort of end on that point. Obviously, by the time we got to Die Another Day, Brosnan's last one, it had gone to ridiculous. You know, we had invisible Aston Martins and stuff at that point. But the one thing that I'm kind of slightly annoyed with what they did with the franchise with Craig is in Casino Royale, he won an Aston Martin DB5 1964 silver model in the game, and it was just his car, and it kind of made sense, but it was a nice little nod back to the previous Bonds. But when they came to Skyfall, because it was the 50th anniversary, they had to bring the gadget laden DB5 back from Goldfinger, and it really annoyed me because I thought, no, you'd reset it and you'd paid homage to it, but now you're kind of bringing it back as if it existed, and
in a postmodern way.
It just annoyed me. That
well,
of course,
I think it's for the fans
plays in this film, doesn't it?
If it was just for the fans, I think, I didn't really mind it personally, but as I said, what I do mind is the way they portray Bond these days, right? Okay, we can't have him slapping girls' bums like in Goldfinger that Sean Connery did and stuff. We can't have all that. Anyway, we can't have him. He does it. He does it in Goldfinger. He slaps the girl's bum in Goldfinger.
Yeah.
He does. Anyway, we can't have any of. Exactly. We can't have any of that stuff.
In fact, I'm going to stop proceedings just for a moment. That, everybody out there in YouTube land, for people who don't understand these things, was a joke. Now, the link will be in the description to the dictionary definition of the word joke. But if you need any further help, of course, get in touch. I will explain the concept of a joke and sense of humor generally to you in whatever length you need. Carry on, guys.
I'm just saying, with Craig. I like Pierce, but Pierce got the bad scripts in the end. He got, he only made 2 really good ones, and that was it, as far as I'm concerned. The rest of them absolute, terrible. But with Craig, they kind of took another stunt with it. They kind of made him more realistic. There was no one-liners. When they did give him one-liners, it didn't work because Craig's not capable of carrying out the humor in James Bond, as far as I'm concerned.
No, he's not a personality-driven actor in the way that Roger Moore was. And even in the same, Sean Connery, I don't think he was a character actor, but I think he was loaded, as I said before, because he was loaded with 200% charisma, then he was able to make it look like he was a character actor. So that was the difference there. I think Pierce Brosnan had a huge amount of that. He's definitely a character actor.
I mean, I understand today's different, as Keith says, and I understand that I have to move for the times, of course, right? But the thing is, though, people love the gadgets, man, and the gadgets are one of the things I go to see James Bond for. And also, I don't, like, people are going to hate me for this, I don't like the guy that plays Q. I don't like the idea that he's this young fella that's good at computers, because Q was a guy that was good at everything, from computers to engineering to everything, and he had the wisdom on his side because he was of a certain age and he knew almost everything. That's why the government hired him.
Well, how they script him, how they created Ben Wishaw's version of Q. It's a little lazy characterization in comparison. He's the guy from the IT crowd, isn't he? He's the nerdy, socially awkward guy who doesn't know anything about anything that you can't connect to Bluetooth.
That's right.
He lives his job, and I never, for all that Q, as played by Desmond Llewellyn, and the John Cleese version, come to think of, particularly the Desmond Llewellyn one, he was a fussy job's worth. He was frustrated. He was exasperated. But I always got the impression that deep down there was a very capable agent in his own right, and probably got a very happy family life, and that his life didn't revolve around his work. He was just really good at what he did. I like Ben Whishaw in this role, but I think they could write it a little more nuanced. Ben Whishaw is older than you think. I think he's about 42, but he does look about 12. They dress him like he's about to do a paper round, so that's probably where that comes from. I want to just go back to this in the chat a little bit more. And yes, okay, fair answer. I always try and give fair answers. I would still bet the film would be intersectional feminist agenda rather than bet against it. Well, the safe money in 2020, you have got a point. The safe money really is to do as you say. If I was a betting man, I'd probably bet the same. But I'd say that Eon are the exceptions that prove the rule. We have got Matt Pott here says Chitty Chitty Bang Bang 2. There was talk of a Chitty Chitty Bang Bang 2. Never materialised. I don't know why. I'd kill for that film. I really would. Get Dick Van Dyke back on screen, I say. And finally, for the talents of Wayne Chang, before we leave Bond, what's everyone's favourite Q gadget? Keith.
Oh God! It's the DB5 Aston Martin. I love that car. That's what made me as a kid interested in cars, and I had the little corgi toy version of it. So the DB5.
The Lotus for me, mate.
Oh right, yeah.
Love the Lotus Esprit. The reason why I like it so much because it looks like it can cut through anything because it's so sharp at the front, isn't it? It just looks gorgeous, that car. Absolutely gorgeous. But anyway.
Oh, I wasn't going to go with the cars. I was thinking of gadgets because I like the wristwatch with the magnet that can undo the zip. That probably says more about me than anything else. But yeah, I do like that one. So many gadgets. Have you ever tried it out?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Dear.
No zip magnet on this one, unfortunately. So yeah.
And Derek says, I got a lady pregnant because of her sexy hips. Yes.
What?
I have no idea.
Oh dear. Yes, and he knew exactly what Bond would need for each mission.
But it kind of got a bit stupid, didn't it? That he'd give him something and he'd use it and all that. But what I'm saying is that because this world is such today and everybody thinks differently, you can get a writer that can write something with the gadgets that makes sense on his mission. Do you know what I mean? The old days, they were just throwing it in the air and it was comedy. The Roger Moore era was more comedy than anything else. Sean Connery was slightly serious, but it came towards comedy, whatever. But today, it's a different world. So I'm sure you can find a script writer and people that are in charge to create something that makes sense to what he's doing. But please bring the gadgets back because I love them.
I think it's the gadgets ruled very much when we were in an analog world.
Yes,
and nowadays, as Dan rightly said, it's life imitating art imitating life. Some of the gadgets that we have today are a direct result of gadgets we saw in Bond films. The Aston Martin had a GPS system long before anybody even knew what that was. Satellite navigation.
What about the knife in the shoe? Then have we seen that yet? Have we seen that one yet?
I think there's people that do wear those around the back of Harborne in Birmingham and down the Jewellery Quarter. It would surprise me at all. All these gadgets. The one that springs to mind is with me. Is when we watched Live and Let Die recently, guys. We did that live stream about it. And isn't that the one where out of his watch pops a little sort of chainsaw, a miniature saw?
The bezel of the watch. It's amazing.
Absolutely brilliant. What we've got, best gadget, anti-poison kit for a bad night in the spoons. Well, yes, maybe. Could be right there. Could be onto something. Yes, so I think that covers it for Bond for the time being. But I would say hold fire with Bond and the wokeness.
I'm looking forward to it.
I want to see it in the theatre, though.
Yes,
I want to see it. I don't want to see it streaming. I want to see it.
Neither do I.
If they want to do a dual release, fine. But I want to see it on the big screen. That's how I want to see it.
What was the last date, Keith? What was the last date we were given? April, May?
I can't remember. Yeah, April, I think. Yeah, wasn't it?
I'm not going to hold my breath for that. I think it could well be next November. I hate to say, I think it could be a very long time.
Yeah, all the cinemas are shut now, though, isn't it? All the cinemas are closing down. It's crazy. I mean,
it might not survive.
I mean, Cineworld, which I'm a member of Cineworld, and I love Cineworld. I think they treat us mostly all right. It doesn't look like they're going to survive, and they're huge in London. Do you know what I mean? So it's a shame. It's
looking that way. I want to take a moment while I remember to remind you, if you haven't, to like this video. If you stuck it out for this long, please like the video. subscribe to the channel,
Subscribe.
and share to your friends or your enemies, enemy agents out there, or any henchmen that you know. Hit them between the eyes with a bit of the Spacebook, with one of our live streams or podcasts or whatever. And
We are
talking about
live.
the podcasts, we are we are live. It's pretty, isn't it generous of Ian to put that up in his bedroom? Just
That's
for
right.
us?
Yeah.
That's the dedication that we like from our channel regulars here at the Spacebook. I absolutely love it. Yes, a quick word about this. Our latest podcast has just dropped. This is the latest edition of Type 40, a Doctor Who podcast on the Fandom Podcast Network and everywhere else on the podcatcher of your choice. This is a audio version of the recent live show that we did with the co-creator of K9, the legendary Doctor Who writer Bob Baker, and Paul Tams, of course, who's the executive producer on everything K9 now. They came on board and we chatted all things K9, and they gave us an exclusive, which was so flattering to be offered an exclusive from the very official home of all models of K9. So that's up on the feed. That's up at the Fandom Podcast Network too, and you can catch the live stream video on the channel if you haven't already. It was breathtaking, a real doggy treat, as I keep telling everybody. I keep getting the dog pun. I love a pun, Keith. And while we're on Doctor Who, because people keep asking me about this, I don't plan on doing any Doctor Who talking. Well, not that kind of talk this week anyway. Doctor Who, yes. Is Doctor Who filming? People keep asking me. Is Doctor Who Series 13 filming? I'm going to go out on a limb and say, despite what you may have read, no, Doctor Who is not filming. Now, it is true that film and TV can film in the UK from now on. The lockdown has not affected that officially, but I still don't think that Doctor Who is filming. I think it's logistically next to impossible. As you probably know, I've got two sons who are both locked down in Wales at the moment. Generally, it is locked down, even if it's just for another 2 or 3 days. And yes, I do believe this hair or makeup person who on Twitter was saying that she's done Jodie Whittaker's hair for Doctor Who. I believe that could be true, but I still don't believe that Doctor Who's filming. What on earth are you talking about, Dan? Well, it's Children in Need Night very, very soon. They've just announced Doctor Who content for that exclusive Doctor Who content. And I don't necessarily believe that they'll do anything elaborate with members of the audience or anything like that. Children in Need Night is only going to be about 2 hours this time. So what I think they're going to have done is something pre-filmed with Jodie Whittaker in character, probably introducing a clip from the upcoming special. And if that's the case, she will be in her costume and they may have trimmed her hair and given her the makeup. There we go.
Yeah, how's that going to work, Dan? I'm doing the
I don't care about
that. No, I'm just saying, how's it going to work because of the lockdown? How are they going to get... They can't have an audience there, obviously, and I don't know how's that going to work. I mean,
me neither.
And they're still doing it. They're still doing it.
You can still ring in and make donations and do good for a good cause. So
it hangs on people doing loads of good cause. Groups doing walks and runs and stuff like that, and the whole school's getting together and stuff like that. I mean, they're not allowed to do that because 6 people and the lockdown and all that stuff. So I don't know how this is going to work. I really don't. And also they shoot special things for the children in need, don't they? Usually shoot little sketches and stuff like that. And I don't know how it's going to work. Interesting.
Kip Ellis is in the chat. I'll give them a tenner not to show the trailer. could offer they say it will be a trailer, says Matt.
I don't care.
No, I don't really care. But people do expect me to have an opinion about these things. And yes, how could she possibly have had her haircut and done her makeup if Doctor Who's not filming? There you go. It's something for children in need. I'd pretty much bet on it. Leaving Doctor Who aside now. You'll be pleased to know, Keith.
Thank God.
Doctor Who aside now. Yes, I've been watching all my shows this week. I've come to the end with a couple of shows, and I wanted to talk to you guys about them very, 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 very briefly. This week, I finally wrapped up watching this.
I watched that
Stargirl TV show that was originally put up for the DC Universe app several months ago. 13 or 14 episodes of superhero action.
Yeah,
and yes, I've spaced it out. And I really, really enjoyed this show.
It's a lot of fun, yeah.
All right.
I thought it was a lot of fun. I mean, when it started, I thought it was going to go down the feminine agenda road, but it didn't.
I did worry.
Yeah, and it's very stupid. It's very silly. And, there's no way they can't tell who she is by that stupid mask. But apart from that, it's really enjoyable. I love, what's his name? Wilson. It's one of the Wilson brothers, isn't it?
Owen Wilson. Yeah.
Not Owen Wilson. It's the other brother, the younger one. Him. Who's he? He's not Owen
Oh, Luke,
Wilson, is he?
Luke, that's Luke Wilson.
I liked his character, even though he's very soft and very, he wasn't a leader of sorts. He was really enjoyable, and just a really nice guy. Cared about everyone, didn't he? Even the new people that he met, he cared about everyone. And I recommend it if you have nothing else better to do. Watch the show because it's just an enjoyable piece of.
I must admit, I've not watched this, so maybe I'll check that out now. Yeah. I'm curious, though, is this actually part of the Berlanti Arrow universe, the Arrowverse?
No, it's its own little annex. There's been no crossovers so far. In fact, some of the characters in it, they've already been used in the Arrowverse and the whole Berlanti thing. Berlanti is one of the co-producers of this, but it does seem to exist in its own little bubble. I agree with you. I thought Luke. This is why I've got these two pictures prepared. I think Luke Wilson is a delight in this. Obviously, he's a movie star. To have him on TV is quite a big thing. I think because it was for a streaming platform originally, he was their big get. Really, I think. Who's the girl that plays Amy Smart plays the mother, doesn't she?
Yes, she does. Yeah,
she's great too.
Yeah, she's great.
She's really great in it too. But there's something about him, obviously, because in the comics, and in this, he plays Stripe, who used to be Stripesy, who's got the big robot, and he just plays it with such honesty, such conviction. Yeah. He never feels like somebody who's slumming it, the big movie star who's now on TV. He really does. He pulls it all together because the cast are all young, largely inexperienced actors. I've certainly never seen any of them in anything really. But the other one I like, I haven't looked her name up, but the girl who plays Dr. Midnight, I think she's absolutely delightful in this part. And the way that she talks to Chuck, the headgear, because she inherits the headgear from the deceased Dr. Midnight. And it all fits in beautifully with not only the Justice Society comics, but the 1980s series Infinity Incorporated, where the Justice League's children take up various mantles. I just think it's the canon. The continuity has been sensitively cherry-picked to put this show together. But Breck Bessinger, who plays Stargirl, I just think she's tremendous in this. I know she's older than she looks, which probably explains the weight that she's able to bring to the part. But I just think it's a glorious show.
Her costume sucks, though. Her costume sucks. And the thing is, though...
it's comics, Ian, it's comics accurate, though, and that's what I love about
know it is, but it sucks. It's not practical at all. But what the thing about this show is, if you decide to watch this show, right, if you can bear the first 3 episodes, you'll get into it. That's all I can say. It starts very slow.
It does
start
slow.
When you see what's happening, you think, oh, Jesus Christ, am I going to be watching the rest of this? But then if you can bear the 3 episodes, you really get to kind of like the characters. And once you get to like the characters, you care about them. And then you're off to the races, basically. But
I like how it portrays a blended family. Two families, 2 single parents coming together like that. I've lived the life that they show in this, so I know how difficult it is, and they portray it really, really nicely, just right. And the dynamics of all the characters, they're interesting enough to keep the spark alive between the characters. They don't all get on all the time. It's not too much of the old sort of mom's apple pie and white picket fence thing. But it has that charm about it too, about being pure Americana. Jeff Johns, obviously, he created this character in honor of his late sister, who I can't remember how she died in the 1990s, and created Courtney as this sort of representation of her as this new superhero. I think an incredible tribute to a family member, but he's very hands-on with this show, as one probably would be under these circumstances. So the writing of it is really, really good. It's the closest that I can really compare to, my second favourite TV show of all time is Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And in the 20 years since Buffy finished, near enough, I haven't really seen anything that can replace Buffy in my affections. And this won't either. Don't get me wrong, Stargirl won't either. But it has enough. It has enough of the same kind of appeal and dynamic. I almost felt for a moment that I was watching Buffy again.
I tell you a show that I am watching now, which I'm very disappointed with, and I'm forcing myself to see the rest of it, is Truth Seekers with who's the guy that did the Cornetto thing, the Cornetto trilogy.
Do you mean
Nick Frost?
Nick
Frost. Do you mean that by any chance?
I'm very disappointed with it. It's very kind of, I don't know how to put this, but it's even there was a lot going on, I find it very dull. And I don't like any of the characters at all. And it just looks like they got Simon Pegg in for one day because he's always in the same location.
All his scenes in one afternoon.
Yeah, in one afternoon. It looks like they did that. But I don't know. There's something about it. I can't put my finger on it why I don't like it. But I will watch the rest to find out where it's going and stuff like. Yeah, in fact, the only thing I do like about this show is oh God, what's his name? The guy who played Zorin in Generations, Star Trek Generations. What's his name? The guy who played the main villain.
Malcolm McDowell.
Malcolm McDowell. I like him as the father in this. He's quite likable. But everybody else,
they keep making you think that he is a ghost in it as well. That is very
yeah. That's a funny bit in the beginning, but that's about it. It's really dull. I don't know. There's a lot happening. There's loads of things happening, and I should be really excited about what's going on. But for some reason, I just find it all just dull. I don't know if it's the characters. I don't. Whether it's the way it's shot, I don't know. I really want to like it.
I just want to thank somebody in the chat. Lord Thoth has just explained the story of Jeff Johns' sister, Courtney Johns, his younger sister, who lost her life in a plane crash in 1996 at the age of just 18. Yeah, I didn't know the full details of that, but obviously that's awful. And what a brilliant tribute to his sister to create Courtney. It's but yes, Truth Seekers. It debuted about 3 weeks ago, didn't it, on Amazon Prime. And I've been meaning to watch it. So I was waiting until I'd stopped watching Stargirl to start watching this. So, Ian, I've just started watching this 2 nights ago. Yeah. I watched the first couple. And I hate to say I absolutely loved it. Yeah, I really did. Loads of atmosphere. Nick Frost plays Nick Frost. Let's not beat about the bush,
doesn't he? I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty sure that because there's loads of... Sorry.
Shawshank.
Oh yeah. What was I going to say? If you look at the reviews on the page, there's loads of people that love this show. They think it's brilliant. They want another season. And
I don't think it's brilliant, but I do enjoy it.
But I just found it. I don't know. There's something about it that I didn't like. But anyway, that's just me.
I haven't seen the guy and the girl before in anything, and that helps. I haven't either. That helps with these shows. If I haven't seen them in 101 other things, then I can sort of get on board with it. And when you've got somebody like Nick Frost, too, Keith, I think Nick Frost plays Nick Frost brilliantly, doesn't he?
He does.
Yeah, I've got to be honest with you. I've not those last 2 shows you mentioned. I've not seen those. The last other than Star Trek and Mandalorian, which I'm sure we'll come on to, the only other thing I've watched recently was The Haunting of Bly Manor.
That good.
Which is I love it. I mean, I'm a massive Mike Flanagan fan anyway.
Is this on Netflix, Keith?
It's on Netflix, yeah. And that's absolutely fantastic. And looking at some of the comments in the thing there, Mr. Brown is recommending, I can't recommend it enough, this series, which is a few years old now, but Banshee.
Oh, is it? Yeah, Banshee. I haven't even got a chance to watch
Banshee
that yet. I want to go and see that. Yeah.
Fantastic.
I've got it. Maybe I can lend that off you.
Yeah, you can borrow it by all means. It is. Okay. It is a. I don't know where it's available. It's one of those HBO series, but
it's on Amazon. You have to pay for it though.
It's so worth it.
Is Banshee finished now, Keith? And is that the complete season?
Oh yes, it finished. It finished. I can't remember what year it finished, but this what you get is the complete. You get essentially 4 seasons of it in this Blu-ray set. Cool. I'm back to home media minefield here, but you get the Blu-ray. It comes with all 4 seasons, and they're absolutely packed with special features as well. But this show is just fantastic. Seriously, I don't even want to tell you too much because I don't want to spoil it. Just trust it and go with it. It's amazing.
Definitely. I'm not sure how many episodes Truth Seekers are up, Ian, but it's one of those where they've dropped it all at once, isn't it? So you can binge it if you feel so inclined. Yeah. I never do. Yeah. I'm not a binger.
Yeah. I think I'm up to episode 5, I think, on Truth Seekers.
Okay.
But yeah.
I'll pick away at this. I think it has a almost Red Dwarfy quality about it. I'm not sure where it's going, whether they'll even make any more. I hope they do, because I do like seeing Nick Frost back on screen. I know what you mean about Simon Pegg in that wig.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just like this kind of show. And as I say, I mean, one episode now and again, much of a muchness. And there's a few British character actors and actresses in it. Patricia Brake was in the first one, who was Fletcher's daughter in the original Porridge, wasn't she?
Yeah.
And I was like seeing these old actors on everything, really. Yeah, never a bad thing.
By the way, Ryan Holloway's in the chat. I'm not spoiling anything, Ryan, about Bly Manor, so don't worry.
Now, this is something I should point out. The Spacebook operates a non-spoiler initiative, whatever you want to call it. So we are all very careful about what we say, mostly because I am absolutely terrible at watching things. I can't binge watch. I can't do 3 or 4 of something a night. So it does tend to take me 4 months to get through what some people get in 3 or 4 days. And yes, so I can't stand spoilers. So you'll never hear any spoilers from me. It'll always be sort of gentle points ahead. Or if we do talk spoilers, as we're going to do about The Mandalorian later, it will be very, very clear that we're giving something a full review rather than you should maybe see this or you should maybe see that. That's the general gist of it with me. You're never going to get anything spoiled.
Someone has actually put that they're not sure about my recommendation of Banshee because I like Discovery.
Dear, oh dear, oh dear. Good Snickers has 8 episodes. Thank you, Lord Goff. And I would go and buy Banshee immediately, but I have to remind myself that Keith also enjoyed Discovery. Yes, that's that there. And
everyone's entitled to their opinions.
Yes,
everybody
of course they are. Of course they are.
I have no problems with that.
The other show I wanted to mention, because I think Keith likes this too, is this. I'm about 8 episodes. I'm 8 episodes into UFO.
You know what?
Who is it? Who is it that keeps messaging me about UFO?
I have, but I can't remember any of them. I saw it when it was originally broadcast. I don't think I watched all of them though. But
in 1970.
Yeah, well, yes, of course. But you know, it's a thing, isn't it? And it's of its time, isn't it? So you know.
I have to confess, I am aware of the show, obviously, but I've never actually seen this. So I'm always, old or new, I'm always looking to discover new stuff. So if this is indeed good, then maybe I'll give it a whirl.
Yeah.
Right.
Just because something's old doesn't mean that it's not, that it's crap now.
Yep.
That's the thing. That's what I used to tell my film students.
Case in point.
Don't put yourself down, Ian.
Yeah, I am 8 episodes into this after never having seen it before.
What do you think?
Really,
Was it good?
I've seen 2 episodes on VHS about 25 years ago. You know when the sell-through video market exploded, and you could get loads of stuff. Somebody bought me just 1 cassette of this for my birthday. I watched it, didn't understand a fucking word of it. And I honestly, I never went back to it since. But I've heard so much. I think it had a big resurgence a couple of years ago. And when I saw this was out on Blu-ray in full, I pulled the trigger, bought it. I'm 8 episodes in, Ian. And
wow.
It's an acquired taste. It's very idiosyncratic. Yeah. And a lot of what won me over was when I realized that, I love The Prisoner. I don't know if you know that out there, but I absolutely adore The Prisoner. And when I realized that a good chunk of the production team of The Prisoner, once that show wrapped, they went over to work on UFO with Jerry Anderson. And you can definitely see it. It's got that same air about it that even when you're driving around sort of leafy country lanes, it still feels rather unnerving. It's got a character all of its own, UFO. Some of the stories stick the landing better than others, Ian. Some of them hold your attention more than others, but it's the same with most shows, isn't it?
It's got a great theme though. I love the theme to UFO. Thing. Yeah, in those days when Britain used to make their own shows, they used to have some really good themes to professionals. Was it The Protectors? You remember that show, The Protectors? The Avengers. UFO had a really good theme. Obviously, Red Dwarf has a really good theme that you can just hum. Do you know what I mean? In those days, they had some really good themes. These days, you don't really get themes on TV shows, do you?
No, you don't. But when you do get a good one, you really notice it. And we're going to talk about one of those in a moment. We're going to come to The Mandalorian in a moment. I love the theme to The Mandalorian. Mr. Brown, he's joined us in the chat. Robert Mybonet tried to bring a new series of UFO, this is, to ITV, and they said no. Yes, I spoke at some length with Rob about this. They really did make him jump over a lot of hurdles to get there, and the whole thing collapsed. Who knows? One day, several people have tried to bring UFO back, but I think Rob did get the closest of everybody.
He did,
and Game of Thrones had a great theme tune.
They do, yeah.
Yes,
remember me and you went to see it, Keith? Remember, you invited me. We went to see the first 3 episodes or first one? I can't remember.
Yeah, first couple of
episodes. Yeah,
it was good, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was good.
Spoke to Sean Bean.
Sean Bean. Sean Bean, nice man.
All this talk of theme tunes does bring us nicely to episode 2 of season 2 of The Mandalorian. The Mandalorian. Chapter 10, as they're noting all these things. I love the fact they're doing it in chapters, guys, making it seem like one big book. And yes, this dropped on Friday. I was right on it. I loved episode 1. You did too as well, didn't you, Ian? We talked about it at some length last week. But Keith, what was your take on episode 1? And what's your feeling about The Mandalorian generally up to now? Have you always liked it? Was it a slow burn for you?
Absolutely. Season 1 we got late here in the UK because Disney didn't, launch globally, Disney Plus, which I was very irritated about, but we got it. So when we did get it, I binge watched the first season. And so far, season 2, I've enjoyed the 2 episodes. I actually, little plug here, I've got a podcast called Let's See What's Out There Plus. And it is reviewing each episode of The Mandalorian season 2. So we've got 2 episodes out so far. So a little plug there on all good podcast apps. But yes,
the link will be in the description. I promise you.
Thank you. I did enjoy. Yes, I did enjoy the first episode where they had to battle the crate dragon. It was like sort of Tremors meets Star Wars, wasn't it? I kind of enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think it was. And that 53 minutes, it just flew by. And I did wonder, would episode 2, would it build on that? Would it live up to it? And for me, it really did. It gave us something different pace-wise. It was more like the majority of season 1. This isn't going to frighten the horses. It's it's not a show that's going to break its own mold season after season. And to be honest, after what Star Wars has been through over the last few years, I don't blame it. The Mandalorian is not the show to try and redefine Star Wars with. It's the show to remind people why they loved Star Wars.
Is this the point where you tell them we're going to do spoilers? Because if they haven't seen this episode, season 2, then we're going to be talking about it.
Okay, yes, I do put I do put on the thumbnail. This is going to be a full review. So obviously, if you haven't seen The Mandalorian episode 2 yet, this is probably the point where you should skip ahead or go and do something else and come back in 10 or 15 minutes because no holds are barred with this now. Yeah. Yes, I did. I absolutely loved it. And we did get that sort of reset back to the Mandalorian arrives somewhere. He takes somebody on board his ship to take them wherever or to look for whatever. So we get all those beats hit again, which we did see last time. But the characters are so charming. He's not
a very clever man, though, is he? In The Mandalorian,
The Mandalorian.
He gets these stupid scrapes, don't he?
I think his instincts maybe aren't the best. No,
they're not.
It's written by Jon Favreau, really quite cannily like that. Because obviously, if The Mandalorian doesn't get into stupid situations, they haven't got a show, have they?
No. Also, were they saying that it's not doing very well? Only a couple of thousand have seen. Only a couple of thousand have seen, or not a couple of thousand. What we're saying. Well, it's in the thousands that's seen the first 2 episodes. That's really not very good, apparently. I mean, I just saw a couple of people or read a couple of articles about it, but I don't, But I enjoyed this episode. I thought this episode was really a lot of fun. That Baby Yoda, man, he should put him in a cage because he just causes all that kind of problems, doesn't he, little Baby Yoda? But
I'm interested in how Disney are approaching this. I mean, it's a slight sidetrack, I know, because Netflix, they never publish their figures, do they? Nobody knows what Netflix ratings are. So if Disney are doing so, then fair play to them. But obviously, with streaming, I don't know what's the average for streaming.
Doomcock reported that it isn't doing very well. That was another one that I saw. He said it's not doing well. Well, he always says it's a rumor. So who knows? But he's been right. He's been right every time he says it's a rumor. So I don't know. Maybe it's not doing very well. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm really loving this show. I'm really loving it.
Definitely got his sources where Star Wars is concerned.
Yeah, he has.
All the people out there to trust. I do trust Doomcock 100% with this. And I found this almost as entertaining as week one. In many respects, the last half of it, as much, really. I was on the edge of my seat again, Keith, as they were sort of being chased down by these enormous intergalactic spiders. I thought it was breathtaking.
Yep. But you must absolutely. I mean, this episode was directed by Peyton Reed, and he did a very good job, I think, in absolutely building the tension and suspense for that part. The only thing I will say about it, I mean, this one was a lot shorter. This was a 40-minute episode, and it was very simple. I mean, there wasn't. This didn't do a lot to forward the overall plot of what this series is doing. It was just a little side venture, and it was very simple. But I that's not a criticism. I didn't mind that. I think kind of quite enjoyed the simplicity of it. Yeah, it's very simple.
Did you like the Doctor Who-esque creature in the beginning, Dan?
Doctor Who-esque?
Yeah, I mean that stupid fly thing that should be playing cards with.
In the cantina. Yes,
the cantina.
The opening scene in the cantina. Were they back at Mo Isley? It did look like. It
did look like something from Doctor Who. It really did look terrible.
More to the point. It did look like something which I could imagine being sat there in 1977 during the original Star Wars. If you were to have if we'd have had 360 when Han Solo was sat in one booth with Greedo, if we could pan across to the other corner. That was absolutely something I could imagine being in the same place at the same time. The production values completely in fitting with it.
Well, I'm not sure whether it was supposed to be some sort of in joke, because obviously Peyton Reed directed Ant-Man. And I don't know whether that having a big ant in there, because obviously they have that joke in Ant-Man, don't they, with the playing the drums and whatever. So I don't know whether it's that, but it did. I have to say, because I know they're trying to do a lot of things practically, which I absolutely applaud. But I did sort of think in terms of design and imagination, we had a giant ant and a giant frog in this episode, and I was just kind of like, Star Wars with its creature design was often a little bit more sort of creative than that. So again, I'm nitpicking. I'm not saying it's bad, but
I think if that was all they showed us in The Mandalorian over the 2 seasons, I'd probably agree with you. But in this, I've got no real problem. I like the fact that it's broad like that. I like the fact that the stories are relatively uncomplicated because, and don't hate me for this, the truth is that Star Wars is uncomplicated. It's just a fair. It's just a fair.
You're right.
It's not densely plotted. All you Star Wars fans out there, I know you love it. I love it too. But this is not densely plotted stuff. It is what it is. It's thrills and spills and chemistry and great lines and sights like this. And I think Jon Favreau, like Dave Filoni at his best, Jon Favreau really understands what people recognize, the visual signatures of Star Wars and how we want to feel. I should have seen, Keith, all of this coming. I've seen all the Star Wars movies. When the Mandalorian ship crashes, I didn't expect any of that to kick off. And yet, with hindsight, I really should have done because there were standard Star Wars beats to hit, but it was majestic. And I've always liked Peyton Reed. I love Ant-Man, but I've always liked Peyton Reed's films anyway. What's that film, Down with Love, with Hugh McGregor and Renée Zellweger? The energy of that and various things he's done over the years. But I think he's great, and I would expect him to probably be part of the Obi-Wan series.
It's very much like the Clint Eastwood character, The Man with No Name. Even the way he kind of speaks, like if you watch those films,
Clint Eastwood.
Yeah, well, Clint Eastwood
absolutely a Western.
He would help people, but
it's the Mandalorian with no name. Although he does have a name, obviously. No, the thing is, I mean, these The Mandalorian is very fan service heavy, very much so.
Yeah.
And it was funny, I came across, and again, I take a lot of these things with a grain of salt, but I came across an article yesterday, in fact, that was saying that if you look at the first episode where they have that hologram showing the destruction of the second Death Star and the fact that it is literally obliterated, apparently, so there's some theory now that this is actually being set up to overwrite the sequel trilogy. Have you heard about this?
Is that what I mean? Well, you talking about clickbait earlier on. I've seen various articles about, is Star Wars, is the Mandalorian rewriting this, that, and the other, and I just thought it was clickbait, and I didn't really care. But if that's the explanation, the fact that we saw a special effect that we've already seen several times in the films before, it doesn't change anything. It's what we got in Return of the Jedi. Why would just showing the same effect again mean that something was being rewritten?
No, it was to do. Apparently, there's a little bit more to it than that. It was to do with some tweets that the visual effects people on Mandalorian had posted. And somebody said it's as if you're trying to overwrite the sequel trilogy, and they responded, "Yep." But who knows? Who knows?
I think they could be trolling their colleagues in the movie wing, But that's just what movie makers do, isn't it? They've obviously got their feelings about these films, just as we have, and obviously they can't rewrite. They can't pretend those three films don't exist. They cannot mention them. But I think that's, again. Well, sorry guys, wishful thinking. Don't shoot the message.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is one of those things where like Star Wars is different to Star Trek, because Star Wars is not about time travel or alternate realities and that sort of thing. So you can't really get round it like that.
Delightfully simple. It's a fairy tale.
Was there Richard? Who played the two X-wing guys?
Dave Filoni was one of them, and the other one was a oh god, I can't remember his name. Hold on, I'll look it up. The other one was poor Sun Hung Yi, played Carson Teva. Now that guy he was a Star Wars fan that does a lot of cosplay. I only know this because obviously I've just done a podcast where we were talking about the episode, but he's been in Kim's Convenience and there's a load of different shows. So he is well known. But yes, he was one X-Wing pilot, and the other one was Dave Filoni reprising his role from season 1.
But the Baby Yoda, he ate all those eggs. It's like
that was
all about.
Yeah, eating the eggs. I mean, it's revolting. And again, this is another thing. Star Wars has got that slightly icky side to it, isn't it? You think, oh God, how many of these things is he going to eat? And then right at the end, we get that lovely moment right at the very end where just to camera, he almost breaks the fourth wall, doesn't he, Baby Yoda, and just throws an extra one down his throat just before the credits kick in.
Yeah.
Absolutely delightful, brilliant comic timing. I loved it. So yeah, this one is not going to break. This isn't going to break any molds. It's not going to change the world. I don't think the Mandalorian is setting out to change the world necessarily, but it is riotously entertaining. And the plan is that I'll be here to talk about however many there are going to be in this series. We've got a few comments in the chat about it for the people who have watched it. The Mandalorian theme sounds like Rocky in places. Ryan, I have no idea. I love Rocky, and I'm trying to think.
Special effects was good in this episode as well.
Oh, it's exemplary.
The visual effects.
How much of it was digitally created, and how much of it was against those enormous walls that they've got, and what was done in computer. But with a show like this, when I'm enjoying it this much, Ian, I wonder about those things for about 2 seconds, and then I'm pulled directly into the show again, and I never give it a moment's thought afterwards.
But just that stuff where the X-Wings are chasing his ship and all the clouds and stuff. I mean, it's really, I mean, that's like movie thing. That is movie special effects, isn't it?
I'm really hoping last season they had on Disney Plus, which was excellent, a series called The Gallery, which looked behind the scenes of each episode. And it did indeed show that new digital screen technology, etc., that they use, and it's quite remarkable. I'm really hoping that they have another season of that to run with this this show. I've noticed that there's nothing up on Disney Plus yet, but I'm hoping that will come, because from a filmmaking point of view, it's really good. They really delve into it, you know.
It's on YouTube. You can find it on YouTube.
Does it not break the spell for you guys, or is it?
Oh, not at all. No, not at all. It never has. I've always viewed films. I'm able to watch it on two levels at the same time. So there's the filmmaker in me, but there's also the fanboy in me. And
I used to be able to, but I haven't
bother
seen anything that thorough in quite some time. I think about 10 or 15 years ago, I overdosed a little on DVD special features, and I had to stop watching
Love them.
But
Oh, no.
Maybe I should go back to. I still watch
my dad always used to say to me. My dad always used to say to me, "Why are you watching behind the scenes? It destroys the magic of the film." I remember my dad always used to say that.
Depends on the kind of person that you are. You know, there's no right or wrong. The fact is that people take things in differently, don't they? But I was always like you, Keith, for a long time. I think I just sort of reached saturation point. I've got a few opinions here in the chat, which has surprised me. Lord Thoth says Mandalorian season 2. I must mean episode 2 was the worst episode I've seen so far.
Oh dear.
Okay. Let us know why, if you like. Come back and let us know why. It's great, but it was a filler episode. A filler. You see, I don't.
That's
sorry,
true.
I don't know what you mean. Can you tell me what you mean by filler? Because to me, all of these stories are two-parters that aren't that complicated, that go from place to place. I don't really see what this did differently that other episodes of The Mandalorian didn't. It still seemed rompish, but I think they've all been romps. So, yeah, I'm not saying you're wrong, Matt, but let us know what you mean by that. I'd like to know genuinely. And he also follows up with, that ship could run on a rubber band. I think it probably has.
It's true.
I must admit, they got off at the end. They got off the planet a lot easier than I thought they would. After because the ship was absolutely ruined. I mean, the spider put its leg through the canopy of the cockpit and everything. Yeah. And the rebels, you know, the X-wing pilots didn't help them.
No, they just flew away.
They rescued them, but then they flew away. And I'm amazed that he got the ship back together. Actually, I'm kind of like, I know you suspend your disbelief with this stuff, but I did sort of think, really. So, but yeah, still fun though.
Yes, I thought it was a lot of fun.
So, what would you give this episode? How many frogs' eggs out of 5 would you give this one, Keith?
Out of how many, sorry?
Out of 5.
Out of 5? Oh, I'd give this 3 frogs' eggs out of 5.
And yourself, Ian?
3. Yeah, definitely.
3. I'm going to give it a 4 against my better judgment, because I think this season, for all that I've just said to our friend Matt there in the chat, I'm expecting greater things of this season. So I'm going to leave myself somewhere to go. But yeah, I'll give this a 4. I think that particularly the last half was absolutely hair-raising. And I'm not an arachnophobiac in particular, but it did make it.
Yeah.
Really,
look at the difference between the spiders in this film and the spiders in that Jodie Whittaker episode. Yeah, so there you go.
Matt says it just didn't inherently add anything to the main story. But what main story?
There wasn't one. It was just enjoyable nonsense. That's all it is, really.
I'm not sure what the main story of The Mandalorian. Maybe I'm missing something. What the main story is in The Mandalorian.
I thought, you know, another thing I thought was weird how the frog girl suddenly disappeared and she was in that pool. She was like having a bath or some nonsense. Like,
trying to get warm.
Weird?
No, she was trying to get warm because obviously.
But she got all the eggs in there as well, didn't she? She put all the eggs in.
Well, I think it was to protect them because obviously they're warm-blooded creatures, right? So,
but they're in the ice. Why is that water warm then? Maybe I'm missing a thing there. Because it's all ice, isn't it?
Say again?
Why was the water warm? Because they're in the ice. Everything's all ice. So why is that section warm?
That's the beauty in setting something on an alien world, isn't it? I mean, you know,
maybe it was volcanic. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
None of us know the answer to that one. But yes, I really am enjoying this season, and I can't wait to see some more. What are you looking forward to over the next week or so? Any other series that I'm missing out on? Anything you guys are watching on a weekly basis I should keep a lookout for?
I'm not really watching anything. I said, I mean, I chose to watch Truth Seekers at one point, and because I had to have a rest from editing. But I don't know. I mean, you know what? You guys must experience this as well. You're really tired, right? You go to the TV and you switch on Netflix, And you end up half an hour trying to find something to watch.
That's very true.
You're just flicking. You're like, and in the end, you go, I give up.
It
And then you leave the room.
It happens there again with our physical media. But yes, if you've enjoyed this conversation, please like this video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Why not, for heaven's sake? And if you'd like to hear more of Keith, Ian, and myself doing this sort of thing, all this banter, all this silliness, and people sounding like they know what they're talking about, I think all of us are decent at that, aren't we? Then you've got to look out for this on the feed. This was the latest episode of the Spacebook Listed, our flagship podcast, where the three of us and our friend Izzy all got together to talk about this classic film, E.T. the Extraterrestrial from 1982, for a good couple of hours there. That was great fun. And a lot of the feedback that I've had back, gentlemen, has been from people saying, I enjoyed your show so much. Within half an hour, I went back to my DVD shelf. I pulled off E.T. or I pulled off E.T. No. or I went to Netflix and I watched E.T. or whatever else. They went and watched that film again directly afterwards. And that was the reason I wanted to create this show and to talk about old stuff, just to remind people how good some of it was that they may not have seen for a while. Absolutely loved it. More Spacebook Listed coming up, no doubt, in the future. And yes, as I'm going to remind people to subscribe to the channel again, and all the links will be in the description to Ian's channel and his channel and his podcast. But have you got anything? How is everything going on the Rebecca Gold channel at the moment, Ian? Your Bad Day, you put that up recently in the makeup.
It's going okay. People are watching Bad Day. I just, it's not hit 1,000 yet, but hopefully it will. And then I've got the making of Bad Day on there, and I've got to create new content. But obviously, I don't do content like this. I don't do it because Keith and you do. So I want to do some drama. I want to do maybe I'm going to do another little short or something.
He's not up there. He's not a gobshite like us, Keith.
Well, I want to start creating more drama as well, to be honest. So, but yeah, good point.
Yeah.
Yes, that about wraps up, I think, for this time. If you've enjoyed this stream, let us know in the comment section. Pick up some of the points. Tell us if we've got it all right or all wrong, or some of those nuances and some of the things that I've said. Do you think I'm really labouring under misguided faith?
Can I ask something?
Yes.
Sorry. Ask the chat. Is there any film that you'd like us to review? If you put it in the chat, because we will definitely review it. Keith, me, and Dan will definitely review it. So if there's any film that you really, really, really like and want a different opinion on it and want to know how we feel about it, just write it in the chat, I guess. I don't know, or contact us via Twitter or anything like that. Or me, contact me.
Opinion, yes, and Gobshite's opinion. We're glad to talk about pretty much anything, and pull in some of our various familiars, people that you like hearing from so much, Starry-Eyed Girl and JT and all those types. We'll mix and match whoever's available can come on and chat. We've got the talents of Wei Chiang.
I love Salem's Lot.
That film.
I've just picked my DVD out of Salem's Lot. Any genre? Asks
yes, any genre. Apart from porn, of course. We don't do porn. So there you go.
No. Well, it'd just be difficult getting the stills.
Exactly.
No problem. The fog.
As long as it's Carpenter's one, yes. But that remake, definitely not.
Yeah, it's Superman. He's terrible.
There's lots of interesting films. Keep them coming. Let us know in the description what you want us to talk about. Speaking of talk, and speaking of problem being, actually, he'll like this coming up on this channel on the Spacebook later this evening. You'll have noticed it is the 7th of November. The 7th of the month means one thing. It means more Blake 7. Teleport, a Blake 7 podcast, is back this evening with the second long-awaited installment of the Blake 7 podcast that I've been working on for months now. This is a good hour's conversation. I got John Ainsworth in, who is the effective showrunner of Blake 7 over at Big Finish Productions. The most recent custodian of Terry Nation's entire legacy. So he came on the show, told us about the entire audio legacy of Blake 7.
Oh wow! I want to hear this. Where can I find it, Dan? Where can I find it?
It'll be on Podbean on the Spacebook's podcast at Podbean. So that'll be on the Podbean app for all you people who use that. And it will also be here on YouTube, on my channel. It'll drop in an hour's time at 7 o'clock. So yes, it's an enhanced version on YouTube. So there'll be some graphics too. It's myself, it's Lee Palmer, it's John Ainsworth from Big Finish. And this is the best bit. It's an exclusive interview with John Ainsworth, and he talks about the past of Blake Seven on audio. He talks about his own present where he is at the moment with his fandom, and he talks exclusively to the Spacebook and Teleport about the future of Blake Seven on audio for the first time anywhere. You get to hear that in an hour here on the channel.
I'm downloading the Podbean app as we speak, simply because I am big into the audio, Big Finish audio work, so I want to check that out.
Yes, and there'll be further episodes. I've recorded quite a lot of these shows already. Some of you have even been part of them. But yeah, it's been so well received. I couldn't be happier with how well this has gone down. Look forward to talking more Blake Seven in the future, and maybe involving Ian somewhere on the line. That could be fun. But yeah, in an hour's time here on the Spacebook, and look out on all the podcatchers. It's gradually being rolled out. But yeah, just be patient with that. Thank you. Okay, guys, I think that about wraps it up for now. We've got one more suggestion. We've got several suggestions. We've got Ronin.
Oh, love Ronin. Love The Thing. Backroom Buns I haven't seen in years. The Thing. Yeah.
Oh, The Thing. Great stuff. Amazing.
We should do The Thing, man. The Thing is John Carpenter's Thing.
Everybody talks about The Thing. Everybody sort of.
That's the thing, you see. The thing is.
The thing about The Thing. I'd be happy to talk about Blake Seven anytime, by the way. I love Blake Seven.
Yes, we'll definitely involve you in that. Probably in the new year. I've got, like I say, there is a few of these recorded already. And so the people who have recorded with me already, I don't want to make them wait too long before
I get it.
But yes, it's definitely continuing. It's been really well received. And unless something goes drastically wrong, this teleport is here for the foreseeable future. There's still so much to talk about with Blake Seven for a show that last aired episodes nearly 40 years ago. Sorry, it certainly does get people talking to this day. That covers it, everybody. Thank you for your conversation and your time. I can't wait to get together and talk about more of these films and TV shows and whatever else pops up next week, along with the next episode of The Mandalorian, everybody. That should be, we'll have to see where that goes. The second part of the frog, baby, egg storyline, maybe.
Yeah.
But yes, thank you for your time. Catch us on the channel. Hit up all the playlists. You can see more of us, all the podcasts and all the live streams. But thank you very much.
Cheers.
Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.